We are going to compare three political situations that was there from 1990 backward. That is the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, and the 40s. I don't know whether it was there before the 40s or it was there in a lesser capacity. We had a German who was called Karl Marx. Karl Marx is believed to have been the author and the founder of communism, a German. But you see, apart from the short time when we had East German, German never followed communism. But the person who founded communism is called Karl Marx. That is why his kind of ideas were called Marxist, because it was Karl Marx. He was a German. He came up with an idea that all properties in the country should belong to the state. And it was so funny, and I want to pay tribute to my Nairobi Technical High School teacher, Mr. Banot. Mr. Banot taught me a lot of intelligence and politics than all other humans have ever taught me to this moment. Although he used to teach in a very short, but then I could follow that and maybe do a lot of research. In a communist country, when everybody is supposed to have two pairs of shoes, let's say, and when you want to have another pair of shoe, you go to the chief, yes, the location chief, and tell the location chief that I want another pair of shoes. He looks at the pair of shoes, he says, first of all, you are careless with your shoe because you have not been polishing them. Na hii ukipeleka kwa fundi, akishona, there's no need. But if you convince him, he gives you a permit. He gives you a permit, which you now go with it to the shop and buy another pair of shoes. You are to live, even food you are to buy enough for your family. You are not to store, you are not to accumulate a lot of money, you are not to do anything, and everything belonged to the community. Commune. There's a word commune which is related to community. So those commune is where the name community came from. The good side of it is that you are not allowed to have two jobs. You are not, okay, if you have a job, you are not supposed to have a shamba. You know, you may find somebody in Nairobi, he has a shamba at his Oshago, and he's doing two jobs. One full-time, one part-time, whatever. Those days, in the communism, you are supposed to choose only one thing. It had its good side, it had its bad side, and they used to fight with the Western country, and that is why we used to have that Cold War. Then in the middle, or leaning towards communism, we used to have what is called socialist country. This is Ujamaa. Socialism had very little difference with communism. I can only say that if I have to compare socialism and communism, I have to compare sulfuric acid. There is, if I remember very well in school, we had concentrated sulfuric acid and sulfuric acid. So concentrated is communism, and socialism was less of that. And really, apart from USSR and China, you rarely found a country accepting that it was a communist country. All countries, even which we knew that they were communist, they still called themselves socialist. Even Russia itself, not Russia, even the USSR, which broke away and one of the provinces became Russia. Even the USSR, if you look at the name they were calling themselves Union of Soviet socialist republics. They never accepted that they were communist. But also, you'll find that Lenin, who was the leader of USSR at one time, he came up with this slightly different method of communism, and that is why whenever we used to study at the School of Intelligence, we used to compare the Marxist communism, which was Marxist communist, which was leaning mostly towards what Karl Marx has said, and then we also had Leninist. Leninist was a bit slightly different, maybe modernized, but communism was just there to say that everything belonged to the commune, and socialism was to encourage. The difference was very little. Then we had capitalist. Capitalist is for everybody to fight and acquire as much as legally is allowed. Although there are those who did it illegally, because you may find even in Kenya, somebody with land, parcels of land which you could say, even if he worked 300 years and saving everything, he could not get a fraction of that land. Then we then had, there are those countries which wanted to gain from both sides. So we came up with an organization that was called Non-Aligned Movement. And those who are leading Non-Aligned Movement was Yugoslavia, a very much known communist country. India was also claiming to be a non-aligned, and even Kenya. But then that one also brought dictatorship to Kenya, because it also brought dictatorship to Kenya and other African countries, because we were aligned, although we pretended to be non-aligned, we were aligned to the Western countries, because the Western countries would look the other way around, because if they would have pinpointed our mistakes, we could go to the East. There was a joke then that funds would come from, those funds we used to get from outside, from Western country. It used not to be loan, it was just free money. That is why during my time, we were guaranteed that you complete Form 4, you get a job, because money used to come from out of the country. But when the communism fell in 1990, they came up with a structural adjustment program where we were supposed to lay off a lot of people. That is how the golden handshake came, and the people who are not even ready for retirement were retired prematurely. I wanted to, as I finish the last 4 minutes, I want to say this. We had this kind of business, which I want to compare the three. In communist countries and socialist countries, everything was fixed. Everything was fixed. Right now, if you have money, you can go to the supermarket and buy all bales of ungangano and place it in your house. So long as you pay what they want, there's no problem. In a communist country, the location chief had a list of everybody. So when I go to buy things from the shop, I produce a card, and they know how many kids I have, how many wives I have, and then the calculation is that you are allowed to buy 5 kilos of sugar. Then when I go, I have to, after finishing the sugar, I have to go to the chief, show the empty packet, and then he gives me another letter to go and buy another 5 kilos. So the price of everything was controlled, and even the amount that you buy was controlled. That is a communist country and socialist country. But when you went to free market country like the West, you buy anything you want at any price that you find, and so on and so forth. So long as you want to buy a ton of sugar, buy a ton of sugar. Nobody will ask you. The sugar will be brought to your house, and so on. That is but in a communist country, they used to be called fixed economy. Yeah, it was called fixed economy. In a fixed economy, there was a ration that every household every person was required, let's say, a quarter kilo of sugar, whatever. So when you went to buy things, you went to the chief would give you a letter showing that your household has so many people. So you go, you buy things according to the population of your household. As for free economy, you could go, which was capitalism. You could go and buy everything you wanted at whatever you wanted. Nobody would question you. And you'd continue that way. But then we had a middle one, which Kenya was having. It was called a mixed economy. It was both a mix of fixed and a mix of free, which meant that essential goods were controlled. For example, essential goods, you were not supposed to, there was a price tag. Today, if you go to the supermarket, you'll find, or not even a supermarket, if you buy a newspaper, you'll find that we sell our things at 200 shillings RPP. RPP means recommended retail. No, it is RRP, not RPP. RRP, recommended retail price. So they say 200 shillings RRP. So if you want to sell it at 150 or 250, that is up to you. So those days, things that are essential, I remember the government used to fix prices. I remember when Kibaki was the Minister for Finance, after reading the budget, he would then have a press conference where he would say, from tomorrow, sugar will now be costing so much. And in the Ministry of Trade, we used to have price inspectors. Price inspectors would come to your shop, say, unauza kitu fulani pesa ngapi? You tell them, I sell so much. He knows that you are selling at 5 cents above but then 5 cents was like 5 shillings today. Yeah? You would find that you are selling something at 5 cents above the price. And then he'll tell you, okay, sell it to me and give me a receipt, and then you'll be arrested and be taken to court. So that is what used to happen, that we used to have the middle level. We were neither fixed economy or free economy. We only, essential things were being, the government from Nairobi would say the price. The good thing about that is that today, when you are buying fuel, you hear that fuel in Mombasa is sold at so much, and in Busia is sold at so much. There is a difference. But those days, the price used to be the same countrywide. Lastly, if you ask me which is good or which is bad, I don't know. Mine, as an intelligence officer, is to inform you, then you make your decision, which is good. Thank you.